We've given you Nintendo Switch tips and some basic accessory help top 10 lists in the past, but we've stepped it up a notch this time. Here are the best Switch accessories to buy in 2019. This video isn't sponsored, by the way. This is just our research, our choices. If you want to check anything out, they're all linked in the description down below. Starting off with number 10, we gotta mention the Hori left JoyCon D-pad. Now these come in a variety of different looks and skins. Some of them are kind of over the top, a little bit more stylized than I would like. But this was something that the Nintendo Switch sorely lacked upon release. And thankfully, Hori was there to kind of swoop in and fill that void. And it's been great ever since. Like if you're somebody who's a little more hardcore, maybe even a little more old school, and it's just a bit more comfortable controlling with a D-pad as opposed to just those 4 buttons that they give you, which, let's be honest, a lot of the time they end up being used as a D-pad. Slotting in one of these bad boys will give you that normal feel you might want. Maybe you're looking for a fighting game and you want to be more hardcore and more competitive with it, but you can't with those damn buttons. Well, now you can have a D-pad with this thing. Now at number 9, let's bring up the TV Links by Bionic. Now, this is a weird thing because docks and third-party docks and replacements and stuff have been contentious in the past for kind of giving Nintendo Switch issues, but those issues have been kind of sorted out now in 2019, and TV Links is a solid one, especially because it's way more focused for travel because it essentially operates just as a big, long, braided cable. We can make a whole other video on just cool little mods for your dock, like taking out the circuit board and 3D printing a smaller dock, but for actual accessories or an actual replacement, this thing seems the coolest. It's typically about $60, but it allows you to connect your Nintendo Switch to your TV straight up. It's got that right power adapter that will charge the Switch and then put the stuff on the TV at 1080p, what you're looking for. It's USB Type-C, and the cable is 6 feet long and it's braided so you can roll it up and not really worry about it. So essentially, if you are someone that's traveling a lot, you can throw this in a bag and play a Switch wherever you want, maybe at grandma's house, maybe at a motel. But on the flip side, maybe you just have limited space underneath your TV and the Switch just can't fit in the dock right. This TV Links cable thing is a good replacement. Now next to number 8, we want to talk about some cool alternative grips. This one is made by Satisfy. It's usually roughly around $25, and it's really simple. It's kind of just like a hunk of plastic that your whole Switch can clip into, but it kind of gives you that sturdy feel and extra grips if you got bigger hands to really make this thing kind of like more of a portable powerhouse. You don't feel like you have to be dainty with the Joy-Cons. Now you can really step it up. It's really simple and dependable, honestly. The shape is a little weird, but it actually feels pretty good. You'd be surprised. It also has got little stubby legs on the bottom too, so you can use it as a stand if you are the type of person to prop it up on your table. And it's just high enough so you can slip a charger underneath there. Another oversight by Nintendo that we'll talk about more in a little bit. We also definitely want to point out the Hori Nintendo Switch Split Pad Pro that they're working on. We're gonna link it in the description below with everything, but at the time of making this video, it's not available everywhere. But that thing just looks damn cool, and especially if you're looking to really step up the way you play a Switch game in handheld mode, this thing seems like the real deal. Now, next at number 7, we want to bring up dock cover socks, or dock socks, whatever people call them. These things look kind of goofy and unconventional, but they totally work if you're a crazy person, like a lot of us here are at the Game Ranks office. So, the Nintendo Switch, when you slide it into that cheap plastic dock, that screen is actually pretty prone to scratching easily if you don't do it seamlessly and perfectly every time. So, say you're a little sloppy and you push it in the wrong way, you can actually scratch the screen a little bit. It's small scratches, but still. Again, if you pay attention and you overanalyze everything and you worry about everything about your hardware, this will bother you. So a dock sock kind of mitigates that by essentially just putting a little soft protective padding over it. It drapes over or kind of sticks over, and it's just nice comfy fabric for your Nintendo Switch to slide into the dock properly with no damage to it at all, no friction at all. You can find them online. You can find them on Etsy of all places. A lot of people hand make them or just make creative little ones with cool patterns or symbols or logos or anything licensed, whatever you want. Just gotta say, a dock sock is the way to go. For the longest time, we would just drape a microfiber cloth over it, but then when we got a dock sock, things really changed. It's a dumb one, it's a silly one, it's a petty one, but honestly, we are dumb, we are silly, and we are petty, so we're gonna recommend it. Next at number 6, because this one just makes sense with number 7 and the screen and everything, it's not that big of a deal. It's one of the less exciting ones on this list, but it's a cheap glass screen protector. People can charge an arm and a leg for these things. You can get some over-the-top crazy crazy ones. But the one we're linking in the description below is from Amfilm. It's one of the higher rated ones on Amazon. And it's simple, it's dependable. It comes in like a 2-pack, so even if you're not into it, you can just rip it off and throw it out. I go back and forth on screen protectors for any device, really. Sometimes I love them, sometimes I hate them. It really depends on your mood and just what type of player you are and what you really want from your screen. But if you are the type of person, we definitely wanted to recommend this one. It's a good one and it's a cheap one and it's not that big of a deal. So if you're curious, just check it out. But next at number 5, let's talk about LAN adapters. That's not something that anyone would really think that they would need, but you'd be surprised. We actually wanted to recommend these because they're cool as hell, man. A couple brands make them. The Hori officially licensed one is good. It's usually around 25 bucks. It's simple, plugs into your Nintendo Switch dock, and you're good to go. You can get direct wired internet, and that's something that I would highly recommend because even when the Switch is docked, sometimes download speeds on Wi-Fi aren't so hot with that device. At least with a wired connection, you can smooth things out and feel a little bit better. Maybe you hardwire all your other consoles, so hey, might as well, if your Nintendo Switch dock is plugged in, you might as well wire it, right? Wired is good. We are pro wired internet connections here. We always will be. So if you have the opportunity, you should go for it with these little guys. But next at number 4, we gotta point out a necessary evil. I brought this up earlier, but I mean, Nintendo had a total design flaw with the Nintendo Switch. As much as we love the freaking thing, if you like to prop it up and play it on a table, you cannot charge it at the same time. So say you're on an airplane or just on a table anywhere, maybe you're at the library and your power is dying, there's not really a good way to charge the thing while it's still sitting on the table. Now, this seems like a minor, petty complaint, but Nintendo Switch has a lot of different options and everybody plays it a little bit differently. So if you do want to charge while your thing is on like more of a stand or an angle while you're playing it, we can recommend the official Nintendo Switch adjustable charging stand. Nintendo realized their mistakes, they are sorry, and they put out this $20 piece of plastic for you to buy to possibly use your console in a more efficient manner. Use it and charge it at the same time with this thing. It's good, it's simple, we're kind of embarrassed to recommend it, but we're not gonna lie, it's been very useful for us in the office, and it's a good little piece of plastic. So there you go, maybe you're more casual, maybe it wasn't really on your radar, but it is now. Now next at number 3, going to something a little hardcore, we want to be cute real quick and recommend a Gamecube controller and an adapter. Now everybody has been talking about these things, man. A lot of people swear by playing Super Smash Bros. With a Gamecube controller. You can do that. A lot of controller manufacturer brands put those out. Some people might think this is kind of crazy, honestly, but we wanted to show the people love who like to play with a Gamecube controller. I personally am one of those people. Do not judge me. Do not think I'm weird. Something about it just worked with me, and the fact that I can use it with my Nintendo Switch fairly easily with just an adapter or one of the third-party ones linked in the description down below. This might make you happy as much as it makes me happy. I don't know. We're curious to hear what you guys think in the comments though. But anyway, down to number 2, let's talk about some more alternative JoyCon grips. We got a couple ones that think a little bit outside the box. The first one, we've talked about these before, but these are the little rubber grippy boys. The ones we linked down below are just made by a cheapy company because that's all you really need. They come in various different colors and it essentially lets you clip in your JoyCon controllers to give them a little bit more of an actual real controller feel. You might pass it around to a family member, their hands might be too big for the little buttons. This will make them adapt a little easier. Because sometimes for casual people, it does take a little while to get used to the tiny, tiny little JoyCon play. These are good to have around for convenience and just make people's lives a little easier. Different companies make them. Some people make little steering wheel ones if you want to play Mario Kart with them. We think they're cool, so we linked a couple in the description below, but we also linked the Nintendo Switch Comfort Grip JoyCon Gray Gel Guards by PDP. These are simple, but they essentially just give the back of the JoyCon a little bit of depth. Just gives you a little bit more of a grab to it. While we talked about earlier in the video, like those big grip add-on things, these are a little more subtle, a little more simple, but give you a bit more heft to those thin JoyCons, especially if you got bigger hands, and they're cheap as hell. But interestingly enough, one that caught my eye and I'm actually thinking about getting, we don't actually have these in the office, but these are Nintendo JoyCon AA battery packs. These are made by Nintendo. They're surprisingly affordable hardware, but essentially if you use the JoyCon controllers, maybe docked or just like on a desk with other people playing multiplayer games, if you really want those batteries to last a long time, it might be overkill, but you can slap these bad boys on. And the AA batteries in there will keep these things alive for much longer for both your left and right JoyCon. It's a weird one, it's a little unconventional, but like I said, everybody plays the Nintendo Switch a little bit differently for different occasions. They all have different needs, so this might fill yours, man. But now, last but certainly not least, down to number 1, the Nintendo Switch audio and Bluetooth stuff has been sorted pretty much now in 2019. So we're going to recommend the HomeSpot Bluetooth 5.0 audio transmitter adapter. Now this is essentially a little USB adapter that has a little Bluetooth transmitter in it, and it allows you to connect and use whatever Bluetooth headphones you may have. Bluetooth wireless headphones are becoming more and more common every day, so we figured this was an absolute necessity to recommend. Again, this list isn't really ordered by any means, but we think this might come in clutch for some of you guys. Maybe you have, say, Bose Bluetooth headphones, or maybe you have AirPods or some in between, whatever. This might help you out. This is low latency and it's powered by the Nintendo Switch itself through the USB-C connection. You do lose out on the charging port. That is something worth pointing out, but it can come with a bundled in mic that you can use for multiplayer games. There are a couple of options really, but we just like the clean and simple look of this HomeSpot one. It's pretty affordable, and then you don't feel like you're wasting your Bluetooth headphones and they can get in on the action here. Those are some of the cooler, more fancy accessories that we really like, but before we go, we got a couple bonus ones to recommend, some simple ones. Number 1, of course, the Pro Controller. Duh, it's obvious. It's really expensive. Honestly, it's a little overpriced, but we will say, if you gotta have it, if you wanna play this way, it's still a solid controller. Don't write it off. Next up, we also gotta recommend the Anker PowerCore for keeping your thing powered and charged. This one on screen, that's the one, that's the number you gotta go for. Anker ones are pretty much the best bet. Yes, that's actually how you pronounce that brand. I only learned that like a couple days ago. But Nintendo at one point was licensing these out with Anker and putting their Nintendo Switch logo on it, so you know it's Nintendo approved, so that's worth checking out. Also, obviously, a big honkin' micro SD card. You're gonna need a high-speed one for optimum performance, so you wanna look out for a card at class 10 and that has UHS support. Definitely, what I will say is just pay attention, keep your nose to the ground, because these things go on sale and fluctuate all the time. So pick your favorite memory brand and roll with it if you have one. But that's up to you. We want to hear from you guys. What accessories do you use for the Nintendo Switch? Do you keep it bare bones? Do you use anything? Or do you pile things on like it's a Game Boy Color from the 90s? God help you. Whatever you like, whatever you've learned, let's talk about this stuff down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and learned something though, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. We would really appreciate that. And of course, if you're new, it's worth considering subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out videos every single day. But hey, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.